In case you didn't know, I'm a game developer. I make flat screen games, VR games, mobile games, and I even worked on an MMO at one point. I can't imagine living my life without game development. Where did this passion come from? How did I get to where I am today? The answer lies with a little known game for the PlayStation 1 called RPG Maker. Before I can talk about the game itself though, I have to talk about a certain book. Game Programming for Teens is a lovely little book written by Jonathan S. Harber, and I found it at the thrift store that my mother used to work at. Of course, by today's standards, it's a little bit dated, but for me at the time, it was incredible just to peer behind the curtain and see how video games were made. My stepfather at the time was less than impressed. I remember he once asked me what I was reading, and when I told him, he simply said, "Game programming? You'll never make a video game. It's way too difficult for you." He really discouraged me, but that didn't stop me from reading the book. In fact, I read it cover to cover. One day, he took me to a place called Rhino Games to let me trade in some of my games and buy some new ones. There on the wall sat a bright red jewel case, a PlayStation 1 game called RPG Maker. I instantly knew this was the game that I wanted. But because my stepfather was there, he shot me down by saying, "You're never gonna make a game. You're just gonna get frustrated and quit." He refused to let me buy RPG Maker, even with my own money. So I had to buy Star Fox 64 instead. In hindsight, it was still a good purchase. But his words cut me deep. I thought I would never get another chance to buy RPG Maker. But then one day, my grandfather told me that he was going to Bass Pro Shops to pick up some gear, and so he asked me if I wanted to go. As it turned out, Rhino Games was also near the Bass Pro Shop, and I had some money left over. No one could stop me now. I walked in, I went straight to the PlayStation section, and I bought RPG Maker. Finally! I had my ticket to making my very own games. Thankfully, my grandfather didn't care what game I bought, so I could count on him not telling my mom or my stepfather about the game that they told me not to buy. You know, it's funny because while most kids at the time were trying to get away with playing Grand Theft Auto, I was just trying to get away with making my own games. Anyway, I was thrilled to start making my own RPGs. In order to do that, however, I had to learn how RPG Maker worked. I would take the manual with me to school and read it between classes and on the playground. Then, I would go home and tinker with the existing game, Gobbly's Adventure. My modifications started out simple at first, just changing what people said or making new monsters appear. But eventually, I became confident enough to start a new game from scratch. It was bad, and I mean really, really bad. I thought I was cool enough to make a Mario RPG. There's a few obvious jokes I could make here, but I'll leave that to the comment section. Anyway, it was a grand adventure where Mario and Luigi harass a group of Goombas for no reason. Luigi gets kidnapped and then Mario sets out to rescue him. It wasn't good, but it at least had some good ideas. For instance, talking to this mushroom NPC lets you save, which wasn't a built-in feature. RPG Maker also has random battles by default, but I figured out a way to make wandering enemies that you can either dodge or fight. I obviously didn't finish the game, but I really thought outside the box to get around RPG Maker's limitations, and I can appreciate that. I shelved that project, and then set out to make a brand new RPG, and this time, I would actually finish it. But what was that game? Well, I had heard about this game called Harvest Moon in Nintendo Power, where you get to grow crops and raise farm animals, which sounded cool, but I wasn't allowed to play it because of this little thing right here. Yeah, that wasn't gonna fly with my mom, so I decided if I couldn't have Harvest Moon, I would make a Harvest Moon RPG. Yep, years before Neverland made their Rune Factory series, there I was making my own Harvest Moon RPG. You could do all sorts of farm related stuff like hatch a chicken and pull weeds and, play cards? Fight the ghost of an old man? Talk to a farting priest based on the viral video?
God put this in my spirit, man. Praise God.
Yeah, okay, well, this game wasn't good either. But hey, I finished it, right? Technically, yes. Technically, I kinda just kept adding stuff to an island until I got bored. Despite all of that, I'm still happy that I was able to save this part of my game development journey. My adventures in making video games didn't stop there though. From there, I would get my own laptop, download Game Maker, and keep making games. 2 decades later, and I'm still making games. All thanks to a book that sparked my imagination and a PlayStation game that ignited my creative drive. But the story isn't just about me. It's about the power of creativity, determination, and maybe a little rebellion too. When I reflect on my journey as a game developer, I realize something important. The tools didn't make me a game developer, my passion and curiosity did. That passion, it wasn't just about making games, it was about proving to myself and everyone else that I could. RPG Maker taught me an important lesson about making video games, and arguably the most important one. You don't need the best tools or the perfect circumstances to start making games. All you need is the drive to take that first step. And, most importantly, the courage to keep going. No matter who doubts you, even if it's yourself.
Give God some of you, and he'll give some of himself.